we did this to ourselves. We allow people to get this interest-bearing loans, almost unlimited access to the loans, and people took them out, and especially from some of these colleges that even no longer exist, and they have a lifetime of debt they can't pay back, and you reached out because you fell victim to one of these colleges, and I just want our audience to get a better sense of what you're going through, what your background is, and how did you get to this point. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Joanne.
Okay. My family immigrated from Guyana. I was born and raised there, and most of my education was done in the States.
Okay.
Since, let's say, high school, I pursued a career in dentistry. And, it was just a lot of strain, both getting into a really good school, upkeeping the grades, and just really qualifying for a lot of, let's say, grants, which were very low at the time. So mainly like the finances was never there. So in the midst of trying to study, get the grades, I also had the burden of paying for school. So my family at the time didn't know any better. We didn't know what the loans really entail with the interest and things of that nature. So we ended up borrowing a lot. And I not only borrowed for school and books, but I had to pay for my housing. And let's say particularly with dental school, because the money again was an issue, I had to live far away from the school. So my commute was about like 2 hours a day, and just think about it. Just going into any type of profession, it's tough. But in the midst of also having to drive back and forth and not being able to study, get ample of sleep. This was my first time being away from home.
This was for college.
This is for I finished college, and then I pursued
dental school. Wow. Okay.
Right. So it's just a lot of different factors that came into play. Being a minority and just really just trying to just strive to do a lot better. It wasn't an easy road. But I felt that I can do it, and this is what I deserved. So I pursued with it.
Do you have any debt from college?
Oh yes.
As well.
Not as much as I did from dental school.
Got it.
The majority of my loans. So like I said, I pursued dentistry since high school. So I did my college. I did a master's, and then I pursued dentistry. So that was that one up to that point with the loans. So the majority of the loans is from the master's degree, as well as the dental school.
Okay. So may I ask, between college and master's program at dental school, did you finish dental school or?
Well, no. So that's what I was getting up to. Because of all the financial strain, I could not finish.
You couldn't finish. Okay. So you went for like a year.
I just went for about a year.
About a year. Okay. So with all those years you went to school, how much money did you borrow?
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. Approximately.
Approximately over $100,000.
Over $100,000 in debt, and there's interest.
Of course.
And are you in forbearance, or did you?
Well, so the finances and everything has plagued me, I guess, for a while, and it drove me to the point when I didn't finish dental school into depression. Okay. So anything with finances, like I said, my family, we came here with wanting a better life, like most people, and it was hard financially. So anytime I had to deal with finances, it just caused me to have fear. So now that was quadrupled after all of accruing all of this debt and not finishing this career that was a promise to have money to alleviate the fear from that.
Right. So you woke up and you had $100,000 in debt. And you had anxiety, you had depression.
So I avoided it.
So you avoided pain. So you punted it, and did it go into collection? What was the process that you had to go through?
So I did put some of it into forbearance. After I tried to pick myself up and try to figure out okay, what am I going to do now? So I did that, and then like I said, maybe after dental school, it was about a year to 2 years when I was just completely depressed. So after a while, it just the stuff that was in forbearance, I just tried to avoid it and not think about it. So it was just left.
Okay. So and you're working now? Are you?
Well, that's so after
Yeah.
the year to 2 years,
Yeah.
I seek counsel with my church and my family and friends, and I decided to go into dental hygiene.
Okay.
I still love dentistry. I still
Yeah.
wanted to do it,
Yeah.
but going back to dental school
Yeah.
was just out of the picture.
Sure.
So I did pursue and complete, and I paid for those loans while I was in school.
Wow.
Because my debt was like so much,
Right.
and then it was so bad
Right.
from all the current past debt. So I had to work while I was in
Right.
dental hygiene school, and I completed that, and now I'm a registered dental hygienist.
Right. And you're working,
And I'm working.
and you're paying off
Yeah.
a monthly debt back.
Well, no, I
Understood.
haven't
Wow.
as yet
Yeah.
because I'm not making as much,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Even when I graduated with my master's, I
Yeah.
couldn't get anything like a substantial job
Right.
that would help me pay back for those loans.
Right.
So that was the other feat, to finally try to get something that
Right.
was sufficient enough to
Right.
help pay back the loans, but I wasn't getting anything.
Wow. Wow. So, at what point, I mean, did you feel like this was enough? Like I can't pay back. I'm stuck. I need help. You know, and you say you turned to your church to get guidance. And did you? What kind of help were you able to get? What was out there at that juncture when you felt depressed? When you needed some financial assistance and you need to recover, get back on your feet. Besides your church, besides your family members, were there anyone in public service or social service that were able to help you?
No, I never
Yeah,
reached out
never
to
reached-
anyone
okay.
into public service because
Okay.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
I could have, so that's when I saw your excerpt on New York One.
Okay.
Well, let me contact you.
Okay.
Because it's getting to the point now I'm trying to buy a home,
Right.
you know, I'm trying to move ahead with my life,
Right.
and I need to figure out how to pay this back,
Right.
but to pay it back
Right.
smartly per se. I
Right.
feel like if I open another loan to pay off this loan, I'm just further digging myself more
Right.
into debt.
Right.
So I really wanted like help and advice how
Right.
to do so.
Did this impact your credit score?
Of course.
So even if you want to borrow more money to buy a home or move forward in your life, it's gonna impact
Yeah.
your interest rate, or they might not even give you any more money to borrow, right? So they say that on average, a person with student debt is behind anywhere between 7 to 9 years of economic activity, and we did this to ourselves as a community. That the government, we used to be very good about financing the futures of higher education, even advanced degrees, but 40 years ago we made a conscious choice to put that burden entirely on the individual. And 20 years ago, we started putting interest-bearing loans to the students. So instead of people getting grants and scholarships, they have access to unlimited, almost unlimited, finance of loans that they took out, and it's unfortunate because at that same time they kept emphasizing, elected officials, oh, there's a skills gap in our country. You need to go get a college degree, you need to go to master's, you got to get all this stuff, you got to catch up to the rest of the world. So, but at the same time, instead of giving scholarships and free tuition, they just kept giving into privatizing the entire practice. So after 20, 30 years, we're left with people in our age group all the way to seniors that are still stuck. Because if you think about the $100,000, right? If you keep paying the minimum for the next like 10, 15 years, you're not making a dent on the principal. You're actually, that size of loan is going to actually increase. So it's become a whole sham, and interest is a very scary thing, and unless somebody teaches you at a young age, like how to avoid interest and how to really be financially astute, it's impossible for young people to understand as they sign that loan. So there's a number of, of things that are wrong, but why is it that, do you think it's fair for big corporations and big wealthy individuals to file bankruptcy, like Donald Trump, our president, filed bankruptcy 4 or 5 times, and he didn't hesitate to take advantage of the government or of all the incentives offered to him. But while everyday people like us stress about it, and we can't even file for bankruptcy. Did you know
Oh,
that? All of student debt,
100%,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
So it's one of the only categories of debt that you can't even file for bankruptcy to get out of. So do you think that's fair?
Oh, definitely not. And I 100% agree with you that I think it's a sham. It's one of the ways that, another way for them to get money and to keep getting money from this kind of industry. It's like I said, even with my master's, I wanted to get a job, like, that would help me pay that off. I couldn't because I needed a PhD. I needed a doctorate. I needed more schooling. And I was like, well, and then when I got the degree, I didn't have the experience, so then they wouldn't even hire me anyway.
Right.
So it was just like a circle going round and round, and you just feel trapped. And
Yeah.
I'm so outraged and I'm angry. Like now I tell my nieces and nephews, first, before you even think of college, think of what it is that you want to do. Let's look into the scholarships. Let's look into even, other avenues before you take a loan. I always tell them, do not take loans because of my experience, because I know what I personally went through. And like I said, I was so ashamed of it, and I didn't even want to have this recorded because it's been such a plague on my shoulders. I even put off having a family. It just brings up a lot of personal issues that it's so stifling. You feel so caught. So unfair. Like if and I was having this conversation recently about the tax write-off. If I could have filed bankruptcy, would it be something? Oh yeah, let me. I admit this is something that I wanted to do, and this is something that I need to take full responsibility for. But it's not black and white. I mean, if I have the degrees, if I have the will, I wanna work in public service. Something should be done for people who want to do that, or who just want to work in the economy to keep putting money into the economy. But instead, we have to get the job. We have to do that. The job is not paying enough, but we still have these heavy loans. It's like it should be some other way that we can get help with this.
Yeah, so small businesses, corporations, they're able to discharge their debt and write down their debt all the time. They hire lawyers, and if you're a business, you borrow money, it doesn't go well, they can be discharged in court. But there's no way you can hire a lawyer and go to a court right now, and no matter what struggles you're going through, to discharge that student debt. And that's fundamentally, I think, wrong. Especially because every economist has said that if we actually reinvest that money, so that $100,000. So if I'm able to actually come in as a government and say, you know what, I believe in you, Joanne. We're gonna take that money back and monetize and cancel it. You're gonna put that money, the $100,000, back into the local economy. You want to formate a family. You want to buy a home. You want to buy a car. Move forward. That money it adds to our local economy. But it's stuck because we put you in that situation. And all the data shows that if you're that the majority of the people that have this debt in this country are women versus men. And if you're a Black and Hispanic person from a low income community, you have to borrow more money to go to college. And when you graduate, you're twice as likely to be delinquent because the opportunities to pay back that loan is not there for you. So the whole thing is rigged to suppress women as well as people of color. I think and there are people out there that are actually watching this, and I'm sure they're also probably commenting on my Twitter, saying, well, you guys are adults. You made a choice. Well, you signed that loan, so you should pay that back. But why aren't they saying the same thing to people like Donald Trump or the big corporations that took out billions and billions of dollars of loans, but they're able to write off and cancel overnight? So there's something unfair in the way that we think about debt. And people actually made investments. Hedge fund managers made money on this industry, betting on the fact that as humans, we are psychologically obligated. There's a mental element to this, that when we borrow money, even though we have every sign says that we should do something to cancel and write down that debt, it doesn't make any business sense to hold on to that debt. We want to pay back every dime. And people prey on that mindset, on that mentality. The people who are at the very top that are extracting money and wealth from us, they prey on that mentality, and we created this economy where everyday people are struggling, and just every day we're just on that treadmill,
Right.
trying to pay back the very minimum on a system that's fundamentally rigged. So, I hope that you can help me promote this legislation, and I thank you for sharing your story, because there are many others that are feeling the same way as you do, but they do feel ashamed to talk about their finances. They do feel ashamed to talk about, well, I don't want to be judged by others because I have debt. And it takes brave people like you to step up and say, hey, you need to confront this head on. You need to be honest about what you're going through, and you got to seek help. So do you have any final words to other people that are going through similar problems as you are?
I think like what you're doing and bringing awareness to this is amazing. We heard about this from President Barack Obama. We've been hearing that we can get help, and I know it's going to take a lot, but with a lot of things that are so unfair in our society and our world, that a lot of us, regardless of background that we deal with, the only way that we come about change is working together. So whatever you need, I definitely encourage you to keep reaching out to the general public. People like me are listening, and I'm glad and sad at the same time that knowing that I'm not alone. So, knowing that other people are dealing with a situation as well just gives encouragement. And I would say that for us to try to figure out something collectively, the only way that maybe like a change can come eventually was if that we all just are working collectively to figure out how to fix this mess.
Yeah, that's great advice. And there are nonprofits and advocates like the Debt Collective. They actually call the Debt Collective, that bring individuals like yourselves, because together we are a powerful force against the lenders. As individuals, we're preyed upon, but we come together as one force. We are a powerful force. So Laura, Hannah from Debt Collective, and all these individuals who are doing the amazing work, we should look them up. I think it's debtcollective.org. We'll continue to help those organizations and work with our stakeholders to make sure that you have a voice, and we can move forward in my bill, which is called the New York State Financial Freedom Act, which would enable our localities and states to exercise our local powers to come in and buy and cancel or monetize your individual private debt, starting with student debt. That's something that we can do right away for you guys. All right, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Thank you.